talked about by some Republicans that they have every intent of making sure that no Democratic bill written by a Democrat will get a chance to even move out of committee.
Yeah.
How do you move forward from that?
Well, that's disappointing. I mean, I think that there's a lot of, we had a orientation the first week of December, and we heard a lot about unity. We heard a lot about reaching across the aisle, a lot about everybody wants what's best for Arkansas. We may just have different ideas on how to get there. And so to now hear that it's really just about the letter behind your name and about partisanship and about not supporting something just based on what party someone belongs to, or who they are, or how close their election was, and not if the idea is good for Arkansas and good for our communities, is disappointing. And so I have always been in situations where I can work with those with whom I disagree, and with people who may not see things the same way I do, but I've been able to find common ground and build coalitions and get things done and compromise. And I'm ready to do that work in the legislature and as a Democrat, but I'm disappointed that some of my colleagues aren't willing to extend that same courtesy.
How do you feel partisanship is going to play when you get there?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. If our orientation week is any indication, then I feel confident. I think we had a really good week. My new colleagues who are Republicans were really gracious. I really enjoyed getting to know them. I think we, started some of those conversations about where we do have some common ground. And so I think we started well, but maybe we're all newbies and we're not quite sure how it's going to play out. And once we get down there, maybe it will matter a lot more that I'm a Democrat. And there's that's going to be a considerable enough roadblock for some of my colleagues. But again, I think that's disappointing. And there are a lot of things that I'm looking forward to doing for my community that are not necessarily Democrat ideas. Are just good for Springdale and they're good for Arkansas. And so I hope that we can find some common ground and find some collaboration.
It's frustrating. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely frustrating to me. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I'm convinced, and I'm very hopeful that if we can find common goals, and I think we can. I mean, I just think that we can find common goals if we can ask each other honestly, what is the goal, and how can we get there? Then I think we can do it. I think we can do it in a bipartisan way. Like I said, I'm not interested in any of the glory, or I don't care about that. I'm there to do what I can do for my community in the length of time I'm there. Yeah. And if I can work with some of the Republicans, and I've found that in some of these meetings, these legislative sessions where we've been with, we had one of our school board or school meetings with the resource center, yeah, with all of the various superintendents. Yeah. We had bipartisan representation on the legislative panel. And what I found was mostly we want the same things. Mm-hmm. We just need to figure out how to get there. And, I'm a scientist by nature. I look at data, and I want to make sure that we're looking at good data and base our opinions on that. And I hope that we can, I think that the biggest issue is that there are folks that are there with one specific ideology. That's very difficult to deal with, I think. But I think in general, the folks that I've met so far seem to be really interested in what's best for all their constituents. And what's best for my constituency in Northwest Arkansas may not be the same thing that's best for the constituents in Southeast Arkansas. So there are some differences there, and we've got to figure out what those are and how we can make legislation that will help both, yeah, those sets of constituents. So I'm hopeful. That's, I'm going to do my best, yeah, to try to be as congenial as possible, to try to find nonpartisan ways to make things happen.
Sounds like it's a hunt for the common ground.
It is.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. And, we had a group of leadership that spent time with the freshmen during orientation, and we had some days that we just spent time trying to get to know each other and common interests and that kind of thing. And it was really good. It was a good opportunity to see that we do have a lot of the same interests. We want the same things. We just need to figure out how to get there.